His leadership focuses on scaling AI-enabled solutions that drive revenue growth while optimizing operational efficiency. Prior to entering the financial services, Nathan served 9 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, where he was an officer, a pilot, a helicopter pilot, leading complex operational missions and managing high-performance teams. His combined military and enterprise experience positioned him extremely well as a disciplined strategist focused on execution, scalability, and measurable performance outcomes. Thank you for joining. Also to Nathan's left is Dave Goodman. Man, this panel is stacked. Dave Goodman is a U.S. Navy veteran and technology executive with more than 30 years of experience scaling digital and global businesses across cloud computing, AI, blockchain, and digital transformation. He currently serves on the board of directors at Web3 Industries, a venture studio building decentralized applications at the intersection of tokenization and AI. During his 16 years at IBM, Dave designed and launched IBM's global enterprise cloud portfolio and became co-inventor of 6 US patents, which he still owns today and forever. Right, Dave? So, as a senior advisor at ISG for nearly a decade, Dave guided Fortune 500 enterprises through multi-cloud transformation initiatives, consistently generating 20 to 40% cost reductions and 8-figure savings programs. His career reflects sustained impact and enterprise-scale innovation, governance, and shareholder value creation. To Dave's left is John Wingett, the CEO of Bank Social. John is the founder and CEO of Bank Social, a blockchain infrastructure company, first to market, really interesting, a white hat, focused on integrating decentralized finance solutions with regulated financial institutions. He is a serial entrepreneur with experience spanning across cryptocurrency, development, software, engineering, marketing strategy, so much more, so much business experience. In addition to fintech innovation, John has built and operated ventures across multiple sectors, including construction and technology services, a best-selling author, brilliant mind, and a keynote speaker. He combines technical expertise with entrepreneurial execution, consistently focusing on building scalable systems that align with emerging technologies and real-world adoption and infrastructure. To his left is the moderator and the tallest man in the room. His name is Will Carr, founder of Genesis Nutrition. Will is the founder of Genesis Nutrition, a blockchain investor focused on decentralized finance and yield-generating strategies across established layer 1 blockchains and ecosystems. With a degree in industrial and systems engineering, Will applies system-based thinking to both health and optimize in digital asset investing. I can keep going on about Will as well. He's a great family man. While he's over here, he's also raising his daughter. He's got so much on his plate, and he's just showing up every day. You're the man, Will. But without any further ado, I'm going to let these guys take over and get into the content. Again, thank you all for joining. Let's give them one round of applause.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ray. This is really looking forward to this panel. The one part that Ray left out of the introduction is that Dave's cowboy hat's actually attached to him. It never comes off. He even sleeps with it at night. XRP cowboy. But anyway, guys, yeah, great crowd here. We're gonna get started. First, I want to start just by asking, Dave, let's get into it. Can you give us kind of a technical update of what's going on in the blockchain space? Where we're at, where it's headed?
Probably what you're familiar about. Obviously, we're going through some pretty massive changes. My background, I've been in the tech industry all my career, always on that call leading edge. And so, is this better?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Much better. Must be mine. Anyway, I've been in the industry obviously for a very long time, as you heard, and so I've seen the evolution of these technologies. Obviously, with the invention of cloud, it wasn't called cloud originally. But cloud, for most people otherwise, we started that back in the mid-90s, right? Relevant that most people probably actually saw and heard about it in 2015, if that. So I think, the point and the reason I'm bringing that up is that a lot of you have been learning about blockchain. That's been around for a while as well. But one of the things that really drive or kind of slow down is the enterprise adoption, right? It takes a long time for these companies to actually adopt new technology. just for one piece of technology. It's usually redundant, trying compliance, whatever their business processes require. You see that'll be just a slow process that'll happen. So I think we're at the cusp where things are going to start taking off here pretty soon once we get the Clarity Act. Obviously, I'm sure everybody's waiting on that. It's great that we got the Stablecoin Act and making some really good progress. So I think this year and next year we're going to see a lot of changes in this space and start getting some traction.
Anybody want to add?
Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we're right on the cusp. I would actually say we've jumped just over the cusp. If anybody's heard of, the kind of the trough of illusionment period, we've come out of it, in my estimation. And we're now on the other side of mass adoption. We work with banks who are some of the slowest banks, financial institutions all over the world. They're some of the slowest adopting institutions, but this is really at its underpinning. There's a lot of financial ramifications to these tools rolling out, but we're actually starting to see adoption at mass scale with XRP. We talk about it with Jake all the time, but it doesn't stop there. It extends into a lot of these different ledgers and tools. But I would say that we've crossed that chasm, and we're now on the other side where mass adoption is happening in real time. You're likely going to start seeing here within the next 6 to 12 months massive organizations coming out that are going to be fully implementing blockchain, digital ledger technologies. It's going to start with banking. It'll likely go to digital identity and other flows that layer on top of finance. And then we'll eventually see it move into data. We'll see it move into DePIN. You already started. I talked to an interesting gentleman here tonight. Decentralized physical infrastructure. So ways to gather data in a decentralized way. So you're going to start to see a real big proliferation here over the next 6 to 12 months.
Well, speaking of payment rails and banking, Nathan, I want to get to a question for you. So as we're moving into this quantum world, what are some of these barriers to entry and what are the barriers to adoption that you're seeing? I mean, your specialty is in payments. So I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I've been involved in almost every payment method that we can do in the United States. So I've directly owned bill pay experiences that were powered by virtual cards, ACH transactions, EVN transactions on things like MasterCards, RPPS, check rails. When I was in USA, on the Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay integrations, I've stood up open banking integrations. I was actually on the FDX standard when that got stood up. It used to be FSISing. And so I've watched a lot of new things get adopted by the banking industry, which is surprising if you're inside a bank that they would adopt anything that's new. It's really, really painful. And I've been one of the ones that have been on the leading edge, kind of crawling on broken glass, getting those approvals, getting the controlled environments in place, getting regulatory clarity, and those kinds of things. The one thing that I will say, the obvious value proposition of XRP can't be argued, right? Immutability is incredible. No, you're good. Immutability is incredible. The transparency is amazing. And the promise that it could be quantum proof, so that kind of level of security and potentially begin to settle in real time tied to real world assets is incredible, right? There's so much promise to that. The barriers to entry though, when you get into the payment space, it has got to work like electricity. You turn the switch on, that light better come on, or you're looking for a different utility provider, right? So for a payment rail, and I've done this, I've tied into new payment rails, operational resiliency is a must. When you start talking SLAs in the payment space, it's a race of nines, right? Your SLA is just kind of, it's almost impossible to reach. And so the way that we're going to start measuring the mass adoption curve that John was talking about is folks that are capable of building products that incorporate new payment methods need to be able to do that in a way that they believe is predictable. Predictability, every single time I turn the switch on, it comes on, is how you breed trust. And as long as I can get trust in a secure and compliant way, within the right framework, then I've overcome the barriers to adoption.
That's great. Well, John, can you speak more to what as the regulatory is coming in play, and we have all this quantum data flow, there's payment flow. Just speak to kind of how that evolution is continuing.
Yeah, so I might be able to just talk without this because I'm pretty loud, but not as loud as you though. Thank you for that. what we've seen. So I've been a part of. I was looking back the other day, and we helped write McHenry Waters. We helped write Stable Genius. We helped write. We actually contributed a significant amount of the operating framework for what is now coming out as the Genius Act, what is now coming out as Clarity. And to build upon what you said, the biggest differentiator, because we're doing this for banks, we've got, we're about to have about 150 on a combination of XRP payment rails, really multi-chain rails is the best way to think about it. But the difference in all those rails that you just described is they all had a centralized intermediary. You had in FTX, in card schemes, in every scheme you just identified, ACH, whatever it is, you had to have a permission to get into that, right? What you don't have on these new rails is the need for permission. We can take any bank and to kind of quantify the failover, if you've got 5 or 6 different rails, and banking we think real time in banking, like if it happens in a minute, you're super stoked, right? You can actually fail over. So we create failover across chains because look, Solana goes down. Ripple's never really went down, but Solana goes down, right? But to be able to provide that resiliency, there are other ways, there are other methodologies in place, and so we don't see what we see is the optimization of payments in a way that allows these companies to move at extreme pace with no permission and do whatever now that the Genius Act, that's why we wrote the Genius Act. It's called a payment stablecoin, so it's not called a stablecoin, it's actually called a payment stablecoin. It's why interest can't be given on it right now. We'll see if that changes, I don't think it will, but what absolutely won't change is how these tools are gonna start to be fundamentally used across really every type of data flow that exists. First, again, it's gonna start with finance because that's a very fundamental underpinning of society. And then it's going to move into other data flows. And when we start talking about quantum, we were talking about quantum before, the way that payment flows are going to work, especially when you have discretionary agents we were talking about non-discretionary agents, but when you have the ability for you to be holding any asset in your pocket, and through an X402 tap to pay presentment, you get presented with 20 other payment options, Bitcoin, XRP, USDC on XRP, and your wallet and your agent in your wallet can figure out through DEXs and centralized exchanges in any country, in any place on the earth, how to pay within 3.5 seconds. That's literally, we're 6 to 12 months away from that. And these systems are the fundamental operating layers of that type of future interoperability that has the failover capability, where you're not having to worry about, well, what happens if my ACH provider goes down? What happens if my FDX provider goes down, right? You don't have to worry about that. You can go out, quantum connect with all these rails, have quantum failover, have quantum connectivity to any payment. I mean, think about being able to pay with Shiba Inu at the point of sale. You tap, you've got 15 coins in your wallet, and your wallet finds the best rail through decentralized exchanges to get the guy on the other side XRP because that's what he wants to hold. We're there. We're 6 to 12 months away from being there. I just did this we launched a wallet into a bank in the United States, and I was able to do this down in Bolivia, because in the airport in Bolivia, guess what they don't take? Anything except for USDT. That's all you can take. That's all they take in Bolivia, in the airport in Bolivia, is USDT. And I have pictures, if you don't believe me, I'll show you just so you can understand just how this is proliferating throughout the world. It's already happening internationally, and it's about to start happening domestically.
Well, I would say if I had any Shiba Inu, that's what I would want to pay with. Just so I could get rid of it.
Exactly. That's why I said it.
Will someone take this shit off my hands?
It's the first thing I want. Yeah, sell.
But I think you bring up a really good point. Like payment rails in the past has been U.S. dollars or maybe some other type of fiat currency, right? We're moving into this world where you're literally going to be able to pay with anything of value, like everything, all real world assets, tokenization. Yeah, I mean, you could literally pay for your coffee with a fraction of your house. It's crazy to think about. But like Nathan, how do you see? I want to hear from you, since payment rails is your expertise area. As payment rails change into this new infrastructure where we can literally pay with anything that has valuable, I can pay with my Pikachu card, you know, from as I was a kid. How's that going to change the way that payment rails work in a very basic sense?
So my take on this is most technology problems are human adoption problems, like just to call it what it is. And the human adoption barrier comes when there's an overwhelming abundance of choice. So I say that to say, I think that the killer application for all of this is when your average daily consumer doesn't have to know about anything you just said. When I can show up and I pull something out of my pocket and it goes beep and it's settled, we won. Like, that's the barrier to adoption. And I think what will happen is over time, for economic forces, for technology forces, for compliant reasons, and then especially for just, I keep focusing on trust, because in all the time that I've spent in payments and in all this time I've spent in banks, I do not think that there's a higher currency than trust. And so as long as you can keep that, I think that there will be a natural migration to things that have more obvious value as long as trust remains equal. But it's
Trust
gotta be
and
easy.
transparency now.
Trust
We have
and
transparency. We call it trustparency. We created a word for it.
So it's the same thing as not trust. You just see, which is actually better.
If only there was some
Yeah.
bridge asset, you know, that could do all
Some
this.
immutable ledger that could facilitate all this.
Well, yeah, guys, this has been wildly fun. Like, Dave, anything you've been quiet over here for a few minutes. That's out of character for you.
I started it and I've been sitting here listening to everybody. I think one of the key points, and I think they kind of mentioned it, is that as these enterprises adopt, you know, John's talking about the next 6 to 12 months, you know, we talk about the XRP ledger a lot. It's really going to be multiple infrastructures that will be supporting these environments. And so I think it goes to the point that you were making, is that in a lot of cases, you can see clients won't even know if this stuff is being used, right? They'll have no view to it whatsoever. But in these financial institutions, and I know we use the word bank a lot, but financial institutions are much more than banks, right? And every one of them, the redundancy requirements that they have for their business to run, guarantee they're not going to go with one solution. They're never going to happen.
Right.
And also, it's going to be not just redundant, but there's going to be other solutions that have unique different requirements for whatever happened in that particular part of the business, right? So this is going to take time to evolve. I've just seen it over, you know, many decades. People want it to happen really fast, and I know we'd all like to see it happen by the end of the year. I think we're going to see things, you know, part of the environment, you know, the banking guys and stuff, they're all communicating. They've got plans. You know, these things are scheduled, so we'll probably see, you know, movement at times, but they're going to move when they're ready, right?
I was gonna say, I'll leave you with more than hope here, okay? I can't drop names of the actual institutions, but I can tell you right now that we are working with what are called bankers banks. Some of the largest, they support hundreds or thousands in some case, banks underneath them. Chase doesn't need them, but every other bank does. And we're working right now, one of the largest in the United States, it's a top 20 bank, and they are a reseller of point of sale systems, to your point. And we are working on a pilot right now. They have 450 financial institutions that are in on this pilot, and it's Quantum Rail. It's got XRP on it. It's got all these other rails on it. To do, right now it's QR code scan, and the only reason why it's QR code scan is because the digital banking provider, so your banking app, hasn't enabled tap to pay, but that's a very easy enablement. Yeah. And we already have proof of concept, proof of pilots for merchants to walk in. It'll be tap next, but right now it's QR code scan. That's happening right now. So you'll probably see that in the next 6 months rolling out in certain areas. It'll start probably in the southern region of the United States because that's where most of these banks are. But then you'll start, so pay by bank through crypto rails is about to be a thing in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I'll leave with one final note. So long as these use cases are built on top of platforms that are relatively easy to build on, there's a thing that's adjacent to this, but it will impact the adoption of any of the concepts that we talked about today, which is the acceleration of AI development. And I know that's not the topic of this particular panel, but the company that I run with a single engineer, I'm able to churn out 350,000 lines of code in 4 weeks with one engineer. And the multi-agentic use cases that you can plug into your systems now, and how fast you can generate new products, new concepts, new developments digitally would surprise you. And so long as what is built is stable, it's predictable, trustable, has the governance in place so that people can trust it, all you gotta do is expose the API and you will be shocked how fast this country adapts that. So I think we're very close. We're right on the cusp of something that I think is very exciting. It's actually one of the reasons I'm here. I don't know as much about this community as I want to, and I'm looking forward to learning more from all of you.
Well, I just say, yeah, to wrap up, as awesome it is to hear about all these things, and as bullish as I am on certain blockchains, I'm most bullish on humanity as a whole. Like, I spend a lot of time at college campuses talking to student athletes, and the thing that I will say is, all the people in this room, all the people that I interact with, as awesome as things like XRP are, the people in the world that we're moving into, that is what's so awesome, because there's so many like good quality people out there that really just want to see the world be as epic as it can be. That is what I will leave you with. As bullish as I am on crypto, I'm even that much more bullish on all the people here and humanity as a whole. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can I get this photo real quick? Guys, thank you so much for joining. That was a great panel. Let's give them another round of applause. So guys, let's bring up the panelists for panel number 2, which is going to be focused and diving deep into wealth building in Web3. This panel would be stacked as well with the likes of Kaylin Ko, who's the co-founder of Digital Asset Sisters. Where's she at? Come up on the stage, Kaylin. Kaylin is a crypto investor, consultant, and co-founder of Digital Asset Sisters, a community focused on expanding access to digital asset investing, outperforming traditional market strategies. She works directly with individuals and businesses seeking structured entry into cryptocurrency markets. A wealth of knowledge. Thank you for joining. I think you flew in from Miami, so again, why did you bring the sun with you?
Bring the sun, but it didn't follow me.
Oh, well, at least your dad did, so he's here somewhere. Let's also bring up onto stage here Aaron Fries, Chief Operating Officer of Digital Ascension Group. Aaron serves as COO of Digital Ascension Group and Chairman of the Board at Digital Wealth Partners, where she helps build institutional-grade crypto wealth management infrastructure for family offices and high-net-worth investors. And this is where things get really interesting. With more than 15 years operating at the intersection of law, finance, and digital assets, Aaron co-founded Digital Asset Research, DAR for short, developing methodologies to identify and filter wash trading and market manipulation in crypto markets. That framework was later referenced by regulators, including the NYDFS in virtual currency listing guidance. As well, she led DAR's strategic partnership with Bloomberg, Chainlink, and the FTC Russell, which is a subsidiary of the London Stock Exchange. She is integrating reliable crypto data into traditional financial markets. Aaron has structured tokenized fixed income products, designed compliance frameworks, and developed risk models that satisfy bank examiners, bringing regulatory grade discipline to digital asset wealth management. Interesting. Let's also bring the moderator up on the stage here, Abs Nassif. Where are you at, Abs? Abs. Abs Nassif is the founder of Good Evening Crypto and so much more. A leading voice within the XRP ecosystem. He previously played a central role at 3T Warrior Academy and was the on-air face of the Good Morning Crypto Show before launching his very own independent platform. So kudos to you, Abs. Through Good Evening Crypto, Abs conducts in-depth research, interviews blockchain founders and project leaders, and provides detailed market breakdowns focused on XRP ledger developments and broader Web3 trends. You're at the epicenter of everything that's going on, and you're doing great research, so please take notice of what Abs is up to. Also up onto the stage is Stone. Stone is, let me find you, Stone, here.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness, Stone, I'm gonna do this off the cuff here, sir, because my fat finger won't find it fast enough. Stone is also a veteran as well, who was a mechanic on aircraft carriers for a few years before stepping off. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Stone_XRPL. I did 20 years active duty Air Force as a jet engine mechanic. The latter part of the career in leadership positions, process improvement, troubleshooting, and quality assurance. When I retired in 2017, I got hired on at Bosch for as a setup mechanic, turning machines, making little widgets into other little widgets. When I transferred that department over to Brazil, or enabled that, I was given a process improvement job, working directly with engineers, making the things they were already making quicker and better and cheaper, so they made more money. After not being fulfilled from that, I decided to quit all of it, and I started my own consulting business, and I help humans turn their dreams into blockchain businesses.
In a blockchain realities, but more importantly, also just a great community builder. Stone hosts regular virtual X Spaces where you guys do everything from sharing wealth of knowledge in the XRP ecosystem to karaoke, but more importantly, it's just the community and engagement that you're bringing together. So again, you're at the heart of this community, and thank you so much for your service and your efforts within the XRPL. I'm going to hand the mic back over to you, Abs, as moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm just want to test this out, make sure this one's. Can I switch that mic actually? Testing. They're all okay, I guess. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of exciting things. I'm a pretty loud guy, so I want to make sure we're saying hand it over.
Switch back to the first one you said.
Testing.
Use
the mics, let's go.
Use the mic.
Give me all three
adjusting you
mics.
on the fly. So if you
Oh.
move away, I'm not going to be able to.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yeah.
Which mic do you?
I got this one. This is now cemented into my hand, sir. Sorry about that. So now that we got the awkwardness out of the way, we're going to talk a lot about a lot of exciting things. Now, I know a lot of people, when they think about Web3, they think about price appreciation. So I wanted to spend some time talking about other things besides price appreciation in the crypto space. And we're going to address the Clarity Act as well. If you guys didn't get to catch my show this morning, which 99% of you didn't, Brad Garlinghouse had some really exciting updates. He thinks 90% chance we get the Clarity Act signed into law. That would be the game changer, and I think that's what we're going to break down for the first portion of today's show. I also wanted to make sure I give a shout out to Stone, because I have a question for you specifically at the end, so I'm looking forward to it. But just to kind of kick it off, when people think about Web3, a lot of people think about price appreciation, right? And I think that can be one of the most misleading indicators in the entire crypto space. Whether it's the fact that Bitcoin's down 50% in the last 6 months, or XRP's down 55%, it's very misleading when you think about what's actually being adopted and happening in the background. So Aaron, I'd love to start with you and just think, when you think about what Web3 is outside of price appreciation, what are some of the opportunities that people have to really build wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. And as somebody, sitting in a wealth manager right now, this is incredibly important to me. Two things I'm going to say about this. I think, first of all, utility to me. I know Nathan talked about this a lot in the last panel, right? Actual adoption of this technology is what's really important. And so when I think about what I'm looking at actual utility. Where are the blockchains that are actually solving real world problems? And not only solving them, who's adopting them? Is anybody actually using the technology to solve these real world problems? And I think when you actually look at the intersection of that, that's where that is going to come from. The second thing I'm going to say, just as somebody sitting in a crypto wealth manager, is actual integration of this asset class into your entire portfolio, right? When I think about building wealth inside of Web3 and inside of crypto, it's part of a broader portfolio, right? It's time to bring that actually in, to bring this into financial planning, to understand what this means from a broader scope of what you're doing. Actual holistic wealth management inside of this asset class, to me, is what's really missing. Crypto's always been upside down, right? It's retail driven, right? It's not institution down, it's retail up. And so I think that the next big unlock for wealth in Web3 is going to be when all financial advisors are able to access this asset class, be able to advise their clients on how to allocate to this asset class and what that means, and how to build it into a portfolio.
Quick follow-up question. So why does XRP stand out from the rest of the assets in the space when you think about the utility and the Web3 development?
Yeah, for a number of reasons, right? The way I think that we've talked about already today, and I'm sure everybody in this room knows, it's built from a regulatory first view. I think of a couple of things, like when we talk about tokenization, for instance. It has to be regulatory compliant, right? That's something that you have to keep in mind. XRP is uniquely designed to build that actually into the asset itself. You have to to do that. It's also, again, utility, right? It's done the right things to be integrated into the right systems that are going to drive the future of finance. So I think those two things combined are what makes it stand out.
It's definitely an exciting time too when you think about what the prices are versus what the opportunity is. Like I think even 12 months ago or 15 months ago at this point, before the election of Donald Trump, people like us really didn't have that much certainty about what the future would look like. And so now we're only a few months away, from my opinion, of getting the Clarity Act signed into law following the Genius Act. And this is kind of a twofold question for both of you. But where do you think this market is after the Clarity Act is signed? And what will that do for the Web3 use cases that Aaron just discussed? We can start with either one of you.
Yes. I'm green. Okay.
All right, I'm red. Okay, perfect. Red's the good one. Red's the go. Yeah, well, with the Clarity Act and with what you just talked about, I really want to touch on specifically that there are typically 3 wealth transfers in everyone's life. So in someone's lifespan, there's typically 3 wealth transfers. And usually it's a new technological advancement, and there's 2 of those in your lifetime, or there is a monetary advancement. And this is all that in one, which is very, very interesting. So I think that touching on Web3 and that it's not just about price appreciation, I really like to think of it as you're grandfathered in. You guys are all sitting here. I'm assuming most of you guys are invested in XRP, some other cryptocurrencies. You guys are grandfathered in, and that means that you're not just getting price appreciation. I mean, the goal isn't to, okay, it hits $100, it hits 1,000, oh now I sell it all. No, the goal is to hold it and use all of those applications on Web3. Use the utility. And so I really think when I think of Web3, I think of all of the little things that I'm actually going to be benefiting from just from holding the asset itself. So in my perspective, it's not, okay, what is the price? What am I gonna sell? It's, okay, how can I grandfather myself in and gain as much as I can now so that I can use all of the utility from Web3 in the future?
And just building on that a little bit, I think one of the things that I've come to realize about Web3 in particular is that a lot of people get in with this understanding of, all right, I'm here to make money. And so maybe that's the wrong way to look at the space. And I think, Stone, maybe you could address this, because one of the questions that I had prepped for to ask you is, what would you say to somebody who's just getting into this space and they're solely focused on some of this price appreciation? I think a lot of the things that she addressed with the signing of the Clarity Act, it's going to unlock all these ways for people to earn an income on the assets that they own. And Brad Garlinghouse had a great statement earlier today where he talked about the acquisition of G-Treasury. And he's like, they do $13 trillion worth of payments annually, 0 are done on blockchain right now. And so as these companies start migrating a lot of that liquidity on-chain, that on-chain liquidity is not here and gone today and tomorrow, it's there for years to come. And I think that people like ourselves are also going to begin parking that liquidity on-chain, whether it's through yield-bearing products like a Flare or whatever example that you'd like to use. But I feel like you'd be a good person to address this. What would you say to somebody who doesn't have that understanding?
Well, first of all, I appreciate Ray and Juan inviting me in for these conversations. And for those of you that want to hear about my views on price, I don't care. I don't look at price. My value in this whole space is the human concept, right? It was touched on earlier, trust and transparency, human relations, and our ability to trust in all the rails that are being created. Shout out to Nathan. I cannot wait to get to know you better. To answer your question, the trust and transparency is what's going to come with all this legislation. And that's what Brad is really focused on. He doesn't agree with half the things that are written in there. And he's been pretty vocal about that. But the point of the trust and transparency coming to the masses that they can believe in something. And that's what I work on when people come to me for my consulting. They come to me with, how can I get rich? And I said, well, if that's your goal, you're going to get rich, and then we'll be in here 4 years later, and you're going to ask how to do it again. So what you need to work on is how can you use your wealth, how can you have your wealth create an income for you, and then you grow your network and you grow your self-worth to a point that your network becomes your network. Sorry, I messed that a little bit.
No, that was great.
We got it.
A lot of times when you talk to wealthier people, they always say once you get to a certain point, you can park $2 million worth of capital and you're earning a certain percentage and you're generating that $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year. I think that's where all of us would like to get to at some point. And congratulations to the people in this room who are there. I'm not. But what I would say on a more serious note is, what can we think of when it comes to the XRP yield opportunities, Aaron? Because I know a lot of people out there are waiting for the day when I can take my XRP, I can park it, and I can know not only is it earning income, but it's safe. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So I mean, I know there are XRP yield possibilities coming, you know, with the DeFi opportunities that are native to XRPL. But there's also yield opportunities today. So I can speak directly to what it is that we do at Digital Ascension Group and Digital Wealth Partners. We actually have yield opportunities on or income opportunities on XRP today, where we take that native asset, we're able to lock it in qualified custody. We take margin against those assets, and then we are able to go deploy them in order to earn income and to earn returns on that. So there are ways to do that today. And I know that there are more coming. There are also ways to earn, you know, yield on those. There are no native yield opportunities on XRP right now. That is a limitation, right? And one of the challenges that we've had is that we have a lot of clients that are heavy in this asset class, and they don't want to sit on it, right?
Yep.
They want ways to earn income on that, and so we've been really challenged to find ways to do that, and we've been able to do that today in several different ways.
And so do you see regulation coming in changing what you're doing at all whatsoever from a regulatory standpoint? And maybe you could speak to that a little bit, because I think other companies probably feel really similar, but right now it's almost like you're one of a kind and you're kind of in uncharted territories, but as the rules of the road are given to people, they're going to take those cars, they're going to drive them on the road. And so maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are SEC registered. We're fully compliant, you know, registered investment advisor. And so we've had to play by the rules of the road from day one, and we take that fiduciary duty very seriously. What has been challenging is the actual operating model to stay compliant. When it comes to wealth management, the traditional rails are well baked in, right? They've been there for decades, and they're plug and play. You can spin up your own registered investment advisor to trade, you know, advise on traditional assets very quickly and easily. It does not exist in crypto, and so we've actually felt like that has been the challenge for us, to find a custodian that will, you know, hold the assets in the right way, to find the operating models, even things like billing and trading, you know, in ways that are not commingled funds, right? When you think about an asset manager, they take all of the assets from all of their LPs or all of their investors. They have one pool of money, and they're able to go deploy that and do whatever they want. We as a wealth advisor can't do that. We have to keep everybody's assets segregated in segregated wallets on chain, and then we're able to go deploy those assets, you know, in that compliant way. It has been a lot like I think Nathan used the word, you know, like figuring out these operating models, crawling through glass. We felt the same way because we are literally doing a world first, you know, type of thing here with this asset class and wealth management, and we're really proud of what we've accomplished. I hope, you know, I believe we're paving the way for others to do this, but we certainly are leading the way.
It's really exciting, and my best friend Johnny Crypto, he always says, Abs, it's best to be first, but if you're second, you can look at what the first person got wrong, right? So congratulations to you guys and everything that you're doing. But on a more serious note, I wanted to talk about tokenized assets with you guys as well. And I think Nathan, for the third reference here, you talked about it prior, where it's like, when you're at some point, you're gonna be able to have a portion of your house that's tokenized. You can pay that at the coffee shop. And so I think in order for us to get there, which I wouldn't recommend doing, and I'm not gonna be doing it, but I think in order for us to get there, we're going to need some definitive guidelines about how to tokenize assets and how to use those tokenized assets. And that's a big portion of the Clarity Act as well. Is there anything you guys would like to reference in that and where you see this going post-Clarity Act?
Well, I was going to go second, but that's fine. I do host a space Monday through Friday on X called Coffee and Crypto with Stone, Lady K, and sometimes Opti. And we actually had a couple of people come on that are actually doing that. I think his name is Chris Gilmore Estates, and the way he's already doing it is he has a parent company that purchases the real world asset, and he owns 51% of it and tokenizes 49% of it. So then we can all own a portion of that. So the next step of that is having the tap to pays and literally being able to pay with a portion of that. If it's your house, it's your house. And honestly, once the trust is there, once the transparency is there, the rails are there, it'll become common. So our kids, their kids, will be using these, and it'll be normal. They'll make jokes about us carrying around trash in our pocket and paying people with it. You know, they're like, you carry paper? Like, where? They probably wouldn't have on this, right? But anyway, so there are people doing it already, and And I think that once America steps up, like they usually do, leading the way in this industry, it's going to open up the doors for all of us to be able to do that, decentralized. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like Nathan said, and we're referencing you. Like, this panel really loves you.
Might as well go stand.
Come back on
But like Nathan said, technology really gets implemented when there is trust. And so we're actually in an interesting sector, and we're tapping into an interesting sector right now. And it makes me think of tokenization. But we're actually helping nonprofits right now. We're helping nonprofits receive donations. And I'm just realizing how honestly brutally painful it is to go to these nonprofits and help them and tell them that, look, if you guys receive crypto donations, the average crypto donation is over $1,000 compared to a cash donation, which is $200. So if anyone has nonprofits in the room, we're helping. But I really think that tokenization is going to be key here, because people want those tax benefits. They really do. And this is how we got on this track. We were like, okay, our investors, you know, they have long-term vision. We have long-term vision, but yeah, you can skim some cream off the top. And so, but no one wants to pay the crazy taxes that we're paying if you're taking any profit. So the way we got around this was actually being able to, okay, say, let's donate to a nonprofit, right? And if you donate directly with crypto, then you can actually write that off on your taxes and then keep more of the profit. So it's a win-win. The nonprofit gets the money, you get to keep more of your profit there. Now, the thing with this is that I really think that tokenization is going to be key, because people are giving in real estate, people are giving in all different types of asset classes, and I think that this is actually going to be huge for the nonprofit sector as well. And when you talk about asset to asset, I mean, we're talking about XRP here. This is an XRP conference. So I think that's really going to be crucial. So the Clarity Act as well is going to allow everyone, and bringing it back full circle. Once we get the Clarity Act, I think it's almost more about people finally feeling okay and adopting it. And then the institutions, they already know what they want to do. They want to tokenize. They want to be on the blockchain. They're already set up. I mean, go look at xrpscan.com. You start seeing all these institutions, and I think there's a lot of accounts being created right now. And if you just go look at the numbers. But they already want to do this. They just need clarity, and they need to know they're not going to get slapped on the hand when they get on the blockchain. And I think it's the same thing with people. So you guys are special because you guys are in beforehand, but the same thing with people. They just want to see it before they believe it. And the unique thing about you guys is that you're believing it before you see it.
Well, thank you. I think you made a great point, and we are out of time, but Aaron, I wanted to just get one fast question in, because you said every stock, every bond will eventually be tokenized, right? So when you extrapolate and you look at where we are 5 years from now, maybe let's give some fun conversation to wrap up the show. Where do you think we could be as an industry 5 years from now, post-regulation, with all these new use cases, all this asset class tokenization? Are we really going to look at a market that could be $50 trillion or $100 trillion? What's your foresight into what you see over the next 4 or 5 years here?
Oh, if I zoom out 4 to 5 years, yeah, I mean, I think if we do have the regulations and the actual operations of this actually, catches up in the way that I think that it could, I don't know about 4 or 5 years, but certainly if you zoom out 10 years, I do think that the blockchain will underpin financial markets, right? Which is going to really disrupt things like clearinghouses and all the, the back and middle office type of operations. There'll be instantaneous settlement. I think it is going to have a disruption, and then, the crypto market, cap will be the market cap of financial markets, right? It's going to grow exponentially. So I do think that will happen. I don't know 4 to 5 years from now is enough time. Operationally, these things, it's turning a giant ship to make work. But I think that's coming.
Awesome. Well, that's our time. I want to give a big thank you to Aaron, Kaylin, and Nolan for this chat. And thank you to Great Contest as always. What a great conversation.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you guys so much. Nolan, phenomenal job. Kaylin.
One more.
Abs. Can you believe Abs is only, 26?
No, I'm 28.
Oh my goodness. Oh, jeez.
Still hurts. All right, we're going to
Thank you,
close this event out with one more speaking panel. This is going to be the keynote. Let's bring Jake Claver up onto the stage, the CEO and principal of Digital Ascension Group. Jake Claver is the man in the room, a multifamily office serving high net worth investors and ultra high net worth clients.
Send in those
seeking
gifts.
Structured exposure to digital assets and fintech innovation. We heard from Aaron Freeze directly what the
W's
regulatory,
in the chat.
Regimen and focus that they're instilling into their structure. So through affiliated platforms, including Digital Wealth Partners, Syndicately, Beyond Broke, so much more, a specialized SPV, well, let's talk about Syndicately real quick. A specialized SPV investment platform which enables and allows Jake to support private market access and scalable deal flow for sophisticated investors. His work integrates traditional wealth management principles with emerging Web3 structures. Jake develops educational programs for family offices and financial professionals to navigate digital asset markets with regulatory awareness and operational discipline. He's also the largest man in the room, too, next to Will. As a keynote speaker and advisor, he focuses on long-term portfolio durability, multi-generational wealth strategy, and the convergence of blockchain technology and global finance. Jake, pick your seat anywhere you like, sir.
Squat, right?
Oh, I can't wait. You know, the reason why I felt like everyone deserves a long-winded introduction is because I came off the heels of visiting Washington, D.C. at the Wharton-hosted 2026 Future of Finance Forum, and everybody that spoke in that room was super decorated and deserved a long-winded introduction. So does everybody who's been on stage, from David Goodman, John Wingett, Nathan Mahoney, Will Carr, Nolan over here, and just so many. So let's start things off, Jake. You know, I watched your show last night, sir. It was I watch it very often because you're a wealth of knowledge. Let's talk about what the future of finance looks like as we move into this market underpinned by the XRP ledger and some of these cutting-edge blockchains. But let's focus on the XRPL. We're familiar with some of these. The one XRP actually represents 1 million drops. What does the financial markets look like when things are priced in drops?
Fantastic question. And so, you know, my answer is probably going to be a little more aggressive than Aaron Freeze, which we would want it to be, right?
It better be.
So my whole lifetime, and likely everybody else in here, everything's moved in dollars, right? Like, it's been the global reserve currency the whole time. And so for that to shift to something else is profound. You don't see that for 80, 100, 120 years is the frequency in which we see the whole financial system shift from one reserve currency to another. So for that to happen in our lifetimes, like, again, not just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but probably multiple lifetimes. If you're sitting in this room and you have an allocation or you understand what this is, kudos to you. There are very few and far between. There's only 7.5 million wallets total on the XRP. So when it comes down to markets being priced and drops, it really kind of goes back to a lot of the conversations that have been had earlier. You know, John and many of the other panelists talked about the ability to swap between anything for anything else. And a decentralized DEX, or decentralized exchange that allows all those things to happen and transact and be instantly settled within 3 seconds. That's never been done before. But that's why this will be the base layer, in my mind, for the back-end settlement for the DTCC, SWIFT, commodities. I mean, we've got the CFTC chair, you know, it's moved on MoonPay now, but she was with Brad Darlinghouse on many different occasions and took lots of photos to share that.
I might have got a photo with Carolyn 2 days ago, which was great, yeah.
So to see that happen, there's going to be a new underpinning, and it's not going to be dollar denominated. Obviously, the dollar is going to maintain, you know, a large portion of its supremacy. They've got stable coins at this point. You've got the treasuries that back those, and the U.S. is poised to take large market share in this new paradigm that we're entering. But over the duration, I think that it makes the most sense that you would have markets priced in the asset that they're moving through, right? And so that's the premise that I base that prediction on, which is, you know, I think it'll be a little more aggressive than Erin. She says, you know, over the next 10 years, I'm going to say in the next 5 years, 2030-ish, maybe a little bit after that we see global markets, FX, commodities, the back end of the stock market, all priced in drops.
We heard the CEO of NASDAQ already hint to that with the whole, I mean, they're not just an exchange, they're now a technology provider for the larger market. Interesting. Let's talk about some other things that are going to drive global adoption with the intersection of blockchain and everything alike. You talk about the get carry trade on wine. We've heard some developments across the pond with the Iran dropping some missiles. Can you talk about what do you think are going to be some trickle-down effects or stepping stones that lead to a potential global mass adoption of these new payment rails?
Well, I'll take a poll. Who in the room has listened to my domino theory?
Wait, can we do that again? All right, I'm sorry. I got it. Yeah, you
Don't everybody raise their hand this time.
Ask that question again, Jake.
Just by show of hands, who's actually listened to my domino theory?
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Okay. So a lot of you probably already understand what I'm going to talk about. There were a few hands that didn't go up, so I'll kind of give you the high level. You might think, okay, well, why would that have anything to do with the price appreciation of XRP? Well, for the last 20, 30 years, Japan has had almost zero interest rates. At some points, negative interest rates. So anybody and everybody that could borrow money from the Bank of Japan, they've done it. Why wouldn't you? It's free money, right? But that's caused a problem now because China has been very good about this. They've said, the money can't leave our economy. Only 10% of the money can leave our economy. That's caused problems too. They've built ghost cities because people were like, well, I got to put it in something. We're going to build real estate, and then they build cities that nobody lives in, right? So that's a problem. But Japan did not do that. So you could go borrow the yen, you could swap it for another currency through FX, and then go deploy that in other markets and earn money on your free money. And a lot of people park that in treasuries. Japan is the second largest holder of US treasuries, $1.6 trillion in US treasuries. And that's what a lot of people have done. They've just borrowed money there and then parked it in treasuries and earned a yield. The problem we have now is because of the inflation from COVID and everything else, they've had to raise interest rates there. And that's really their only lever to be able to offset the inflation in their economy. If they print more money, inflation gets worse. They have to raise interest rates. We've seen that here in the US as well, right? Almost all the economies across the world have raised interest rates pretty aggressively after COVID. And now, a lot of those loans or that money that's been borrowed is coming due, or they've got to, refinance those loans. And they've got to do it at a higher interest rate. And many of the investments that they made that were pretty low risk, don't make sense anymore. And now that we have our interest rates coming down and their bond yield continues to rise because they have more inflation in their economy, they're going to have to eventually raise interest rates. You saw this start to unfold in August of 2024. We had 13% down in the S&P in one day. Like, that is wild. That is a big drop in financial markets. And the Bank of Japan came out and they said, all right, we're going to hold interest rates. While there's market volatility, we're not going to raise anymore. And they have. They've held since then. But now you have conflict in the Middle East. And you might think, okay, well, why is that correlated? Like, how does that affect Japan? That is where they source most of their oil. And the Strait of Hormuz is a central choke point that all of their oil moves through. And if they can't get oil, energy costs go up significantly for them, which causes, guess what? More inflation. And they're going to have to raise interest rates. And so the pause that we've had is going to be, they're not going to be able to do it anymore. It's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, in my opinion. So when you see that happen, you're going to see a huge amount of treasuries flow onto the market. All the people there are going to divest, they're going to rotate into their own bonds, because why wouldn't you? You're going to make more money in your own bonds than you would in foreign bonds. And luckily, in the last 2 years, we passed the Genius Act. How funny that that would happen in that time. And the US is now positioned to be able to soak up all of those foreign treasury bills that are going to flow back to the US because the banks need them to be able to issue their stable coins that they're going to use. And it's about the same amount. The estimated amount of stable coin adoption here in the US is about $2.3 trillion. Guess how much outstanding debt we have globally?
Too much.
$2.3 trillion. It's almost the exact.
I brushed elbows with one of the business developers at Circle at one of the multi-chain events, and I asked them because I was at Circle's the Circle Forum in 2024 when they had their institutional event. It was right around Ripple's proper party as well. Elizabeth Hansen had mentioned on stage that they had launched in USDC only 4 to 5 years ago, but so by 2024, they had processed more than $12 trillion in transactions through the USDC network. So I asked them, where are you at today? And I even asked him on camera, but he was a Wharton grad, he was good, man. And so, but he mentioned, off camera, which that's fair game, there's no idea. He said that they've processed now about $31 trillion, and that's within, that's what, 24 months. And so it's insane to see the scale and growth of these new stablecoins. And now you have the proliferation of deposit tokens and so much more. What if you can also create a stablecoin or a stablecoin that it matches or pairs to, what would it be, if it was matched to inflation? I mean, who I spoke with earlier at the Ripple at the XRP community day just yesterday, man, there was a lot of interesting people in that room. I met somebody who said that they worked early on at Ripple, early employee that helped bring in the XRPL labs into the community, or other integral partners, and just to see that those OGs were in the room, brushing elbows, being silent was pretty cool. So just showing up and being in these environments just are incredible. You get to meet people like Nathan, or find yourself up on stage interviewing Jake Claver. Oh my gosh! So let's talk about it. Let's switch gears and talk about some of the developments at Digital Ascension Group. You know, as the market becomes more mature, what's next? What's new for you guys? Do you have any other updates that you haven't talked about to the market?
We definitely do. Are we on a timer?
We got all night, Jake.
Okay. So let me circle back and tell you how you're going to make a bunch of money on XRP real quick. So all those flow back to the U.S. There's going to be huge downward pressure on markets from other people unwinding those positions to repay those loans. You've already seen the Fed and Warren Buffett buy a bunch again. Now, why would they be doing that? So that they can be a liquidity provider when that unwind happens. And so you're going to have all this downward pressure. You're going to have huge unrealized losses for the investment banks. They're already underwater. Like, we know that they have a ton of losses on their balance sheet. The only way they're going to be able to offset that is if they have an asset that, you have assets and liabilities on your balance sheet. If an asset were to appreciate substantially, they'd be able to offset those losses. And in order to be able to de-risk on the back end, I think the Bitcoin ETFs are going to play a big role in this. They absolutely have systemic risk at this point. You've got pension funds that have allocated. You've got many other financial products, sovereign wealth funds. I mean, anybody and everybody has made an allocation to Bitcoin ETF at this point. And if you saw 50% down in a very short period of time, those people aren't holders, okay? People are here to make money in markets. They're going to de-risk, they're going to sell those positions. Right now, the back end of the stock market settles T+1. Bitcoin doesn't settle quite real time, like 45 minutes to get 3 verifications on chain. So that's a lot faster than T+1. They're going to have to move real-time settlement. And to your point, we had the president of NASDAQ who was interviewed by Monica Long at Swell, talking about the first place that they're going to implement this technology, distributed ledger technology, is on the back end of the stock market for settlement and reconciliation for the DTCC between the clearinghouses and brokers. They already have it ready. And now the SEC's on board. We've got the Clarity Act right here in the near future. They're going to tokenize the stock market in the second half of this year, but that's the first move. And so when that happens, they're going to have to drive XRP's price to significantly higher price in order to be able to have enough liquidity to settle all of that on the back end. Also for liquidity buffer for Japan, because all of that money rushing back through the FX market there, they can't handle it today. They need some decentralized exchange to be able to swap between those two currencies and mitigate that collapse that's going to happen for them if they don't have that solution. So, we've got the ETFs. I think there's going to be a supply shock. And when that happens, you're going to see a much higher price XRP in order to be able to facilitate those payment flows.
You brought up Warren Buffett a couple times. I think who's recently retired, you might be his new protege in some capacity. But to that point is, thinking about this strategically, if Warren Buffett is investing into the Japanese, into the yen, and also getting interest on certain deal flows, but if this is a catalyst, how is there more? Do you think there's substance beneath this? Is like, how strategic was it for Warren Buffett or U.S. enterprises to invest overseas and start the beginning of this unwind in some capacity?
Well, they're just making sure that they're going to be prepared for it. So Buffett's always been a liquidity provider. He's a lender of last resort, just like the Federal Reserve is.
You know, we hear Ripple said that they would start to be that?
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. I would agree. So for him to take that position, you guys remember SVB and when all the regional banks went down and had some issues? That weekend, a whole bunch of other regional banks flew into Omaha, Nebraska and talked to old Uncle Warren. And it just so happened the next quarter when he showed his balance sheet and what he'd invested in, there happened to be a few regional banks on there. Anytime there is stress in the market, he's become a lender of last resort. And so for them to reposition to the yen like they have is a tell for me that we're probably not very far off from this actually occurring. And he'll basically refinance the debt. They have this debt with the Bank of Japan. They'll be able to access yen through him at whatever interest rate he's willing to charge. They'll be able to repay those loans, and they don't have to go through the FX market and get caught up with everybody else, right? But the Fed's done the same thing. You're like, well, why would they buy that currency versus the dollar? It's the position to make sure that they have the liquidity in that situation. So with everything going on in the Middle East right now, all it takes is them to shut down the Strait of Hormuz for, it doesn't even have to be that long. And you'll see the Bank of Japan have to raise interest rates aggressively in a short period, and off we go.
Let's talk about SPVs for a hot second before we actually make any, talk about the developments. Yes, the special announcements. Really, seriously. And so, what with you being at the helm of Syndicate League, SPV platform, can we talk about what the future trajectory or the fundamentals of SPVs and how integral they are to the tokenization of real world assets?
So, eventually we will get to where you can tokenize the asset itself on the blockchain. You'll have a digital title that's representative of that. You'll have an NFT, right, that's your digital title, and you can fractionalize ownership. We've had a few people talk about that tonight. We got Liquidator also looking to do that, with the NFTs that they have. They're actually maybe using SPVs. You guys using SPV? REITs, okay. REITs is another great option, right? So it's a financial product. You own the underlying asset inside of this corporation or this structured product, and then it's a securities offering. And we know that we're going to have tokenized securities, right? So SPVs are going to play an integral role. You don't want to necessarily have to deal with the asset. Like, if you bought a piece of property, do you want to be the one managing it? Maybe you do, but most likely you're looking for passive income, right? So there's some other intermediary, a third-party custodian, somebody that holds that asset, but you might not have $1 million, $5 million, $10 million to buy or pay and participate in a large REIT or Grant Cardone's fund or a lot of these other opportunities that are out there. He moved to a Reg A so that more people could participate, right? SPVs democratize access to stuff, and if you were to create a corporation that owns the underlying asset, it's a special purpose vehicle, by the way. I probably should have said that earlier on.
Excuse me.
But it's the reason it's a special purpose vehicle is it's for the ownership of one investment. Like, you're making a specific investment in a certain thing, and then people can own shares of the company that owns that underlying asset. I think that we're going to see derivatives of the underlying asset before we see the tokenization of the underlying asset. Until we get full clarity from Congress where like these NFTs and digital titles are representative of ownership. I tried to do a car app, didn't work out because there's no regulation around that. So what we do at Syndicate Lee is we do end-to-end fund administration for these SPVs. We have a amendment in the PPM and the operating agreement that allows us to tokenize these SPVs. And over the duration, I think that people will first start lending against private equity or the shares in these companies that own the underlying asset, and they'll be able to underwrite the risk that way. And then over the long term, I think you'll have private markets that operate very similar to public markets today. There'll be deep liquidity, you'll have a privatized DTCC that allows settlement between all these things, fractional ownership where you can invest $1,000 or $5,000 and start getting revenue off of whatever is produced by the underlying asset. And that's the cool part, right? Like, they're starting tokenization with all of these things that are already extremely liquid. We went to the Ondo Summit and they talked about, they're not looking at creating more liquidity for these assets, but democratizing access to them, which makes a lot of sense because that's another benefit of this technology. But over the next 3 to 5 years, I think we could see up to 80% of the economy tokenized, and brought on chain. And that's going to provide a lot of liquidity for real estate, or private equity, or many of the things that you invest in today that are illiquid for an extended period of time. And I think the main vehicle for that are going to be SPVs.
Where would that position the XRPL in your mind?
So, you guys know who Propto is? Raise your hands. Anybody? Okay, we got like 3 people. So,
if you go watch the recording of our last XRP meetup, we had the CEO, Stephen LeBlanc, on stage at the Royalton, which was our XRP meetup, was the only, I believe, official side event for Ripple Swell. So having him speak on stage was absolutely, he flew from across the pond to present. So again, it's Propto or Reclosure Net, so please look into this.
Yeah, they're tokenizing real estate over there in Ireland, primarily, is where they have their licenses and they're able to operate, but they have a full marketplace. And what I love about their product, and like the people talked about on stage earlier, is you don't even know that you're using blockchain, using their product. It creates an interface for users where they have zero friction experience and they get all the benefits of blockchain without having to understand any of the back-end systems that it uses to democratize access. So if you want to go look at somebody that's doing it real time on the XRPL, using the technology in that way, they're a great example.
Now let's talk about Digital Ascension Group, if you don't mind. You guys you're going to be speaking on stage tomorrow. What are you guys going to be talking about? Any other news that you think is worth sharing to this audience here?
Yeah, so we've grown so fast over the past 3 years, and that's really attributed to you guys. Like, if we didn't have people that wanted our products and services, there's no way that we would have been able to scale at the speed that we have. We've gone from 0 AUM to over $1 billion at one point last year in less than a year's time. We're the largest wealth manager, RIA, for digital assets in the world. And because of that, we've had to implement a lot of systems and processes and hire people.
Great people, yes.
Yeah, well, and that's attributed to Aaron Freeze and many of the other people at our corporation that, have done the time. We've had, I don't know, 300, 400 people apply. Thousands, okay. Yeah, so they vet all these resumes, they pick the best of the best people.
Is that why my application is still pending?
You've got Aaron here if you want to. We've gone from just a little over a year ago, probably 10 employees to almost 100 employees today. And so with that, there's been a lot of change. We've had to build in hierarchy. Before I started doing this, I was helping people grow and exit their business in M&A. And there's always a point where you get somewhere between 10 and 30 million in revenue, where you have to start changing the infrastructure for your business if you want to continue to scale and meet demand and grow. And so with that, we've made a lot of new hires, we've put a lot of systems in place.
Are you using AI?
Oh, all the time, yeah. If you're not using AI, you're falling behind. And even if it seems scary, like, just play with it. It's not difficult. If you talk to it, you'll get better at it.
Can you share maybe a use case of how you guys have implemented it in your business model?
So some of the things we were working on, like document ingestion, right? Being able to read those documents and take the specific data out of that and then plug it into the stuff that we need. Like, normally that'd be a very manual process. You need to hire a bunch of people, there would be an ingestion pipeline, and then they would read through the document and transfer the data. With an AI, you can do that seamlessly. It's much, much faster. And then, on a daily basis, I talk to it and figure out, like, what's the best opportunity here, or how should I write this email, or, all the different ways that people do it. I use it the same way. I just invested in a company called Weave AI. And what they do is they connect all the apps on your phone, and they use deterministic AI to be able to build a consensus on how you make decisions based on previous decisions that you've made. A lot of the LLMs and things that you use today are probabilistic. And so when you ask it something and you kind of lean a direction when you ask it, it will verify that. And it will hallucinate sometimes and give you what you want to hear versus what actually is the answer, right? So I think deterministic AI is going to be the future, but they connect all of the different apps on your phone. So let's say you want to build a business flow. I want to launch a new product. I know that I'm gonna have to connect these 5 apps, this is what I want to do, you can tell it, and it'll build the API calls between those to be able to create that for you. So anyway, lots of cool new technologies, but with all the changes that we've had, you know, there's been a lot of things that we've implemented, and we do have an announcement for you guys. So officially, you know, publicly right now, I want to bring up Erin Freeze.
Let's give her a hot mic.
With the progression of the company, I have stepped back to chairman, and we have promoted Erin Freeze to CEO of Digital Ascension Group.
All right. What do you have to say, Erin?
First, I want to say a big thank you to Jake. Jake and I met each other back in around July of 2024 when it was Jake and about 4 or 5 other people in an incredible vision. And he's trusted me enough to come in and to help lead this organization and to bring it to where it is. I've brought in an incredible team, of some of which are back there, and we really couldn't do this without all of them as well. But the last 18 months have really been like some of the best of my entire life because of what we've built together, and I am honored and humbled and very excited for what's to come. We've got really big plans for the next year and the next 5 years. We truly intend to become, we are already the largest asset, RIA that focuses on crypto, and we are about to scale that to the moon. So here we go.
With your regulatory background and your experience and just looking back and now looking where you are today, did you ever imagine yourself being at the helm of a disruptive technology company like where you're at? Have you always had this entrepreneurial journey?
Kind of, but
Experience?
I will tell you my crypto journey. I fell backwards into crypto. It chose me. I did not choose it. I'm an attorney by trade, and I was doing sort of outside general counsel work.
Recovering attorney.
Recovering attorney. I was doing outside general counsel work for a lot of fintech firms, and I started to get crypto questions around 2016. And that was sort of early enough days where if you got 1 or 2 crypto questions as an attorney, you became the crypto attorney. And so every crypto question fell on my desk. And this was back in the days where I remember there was a monthly meetup of attorneys in the crypto space. And so I would sit in a room with like the attorneys from Gemini and Coinbase and Galaxy, and we would all sit around and say, have you heard of this? What are you doing about this problem? Like, how do we solve this? And it was a really exciting time. And that was when in 2017 I founded Digital Asset Research. To try to get to the bottom of clean data, because how do you know what the price of these assets actually are, and how do you do that correctly? And then from there, I sort of went on a crypto journey. I went to PNC Bank for a little while, and I led their crypto efforts. I went to the London Stock Exchange for a little while and led their crypto efforts. And the one thing that I knew when I was going through that process was 2 things. Number one, I wanted to go back to a startup. I wanted to go back downstream where I thought I could make really good change. And then also, I actually firmly believed for years before I met Jake that the key to unlocking crypto markets was crypto wealth management, right? Whenever financial advisors could say to their clients, yes, you can allocate to this asset class, and here's how we're going to do it. And it's not just about education in that space, a lot of that, but there's been a lot of that for years. It's very easy to go online and get certified and what blockchain is and crypto assets. It's much harder operationally to do it, to actually implement processes and systems and the ability for a financial advisor to allocate to this asset class. And I knew that was the unlock for crypto markets. I still truly believe that. And so I was really excited when I met Jake, that was his vision as well, through his own personal journey, and really incredibly proud of what we built.
Well, wonderful. We've gone way over time, but really I believe everyone should appreciate this conversation. Before I do let you go, Erin, is there any last closing remarks? You're going to be speaking at Denver. Is there things that we haven't discussed or that you haven't heard in discussion at the event that you think the audience here would appreciate or benefit from?
Probably a lot of things. I mean, I guess I can give you guys a little bit of a vision of where I think the Digital Ascension Group is going. We have a lot of really incredible things planned. Not just, first of all, for the XRP community. I mean, you guys have always been core to who we are and core to our ethos, and that will continue. We've got really exciting products that we're working on, and we are very close to launching. We also have a lot of products outside of X, I know. Sorry. We also have a lot of products outside of XRP. We just launched a Bitcoin strategy that we're with Two Prime and Fidelity, and we're going to continue to expand into other assets in this asset class, which we're really excited about. We've recently launched a product that's unique for retirement accounts. An algorithmic trading strategy with Large Public that we're really excited about. And there's a lot more coming down the pipe. We're looking at international expansion right now. Just a lot of really exciting things.
Amazing. Kudos to you, Jake and Aaron. Congratulations. I look forward to leveraging your guys' services very soon. If you don't hire me at all. But anyways, appreciate you guys coming up and congratulations. Jake, any closing remarks before we let you go, sir?
We're going to diversify across the asset class, right? But I just want to say XRP is always going to be at the core of what we do. We have this Bitcoin product. We're looking at other applications. I mean, you've heard of these other blockchains. All of this stuff's going to be used, and there are other large communities and people that want access to the stuff that we're doing, and they need it, right? They need wealth management. But I just want to remind everybody, similar to Ripple, like XRP is always going to be at the heart of what we do, and we want to make sure that we're building real world things that are applicable for those that hold significant amounts of XRP in the retail community, high net worth individuals, and other people that are making allocations to it, because I do believe that it's going to be the backbone of financial markets.
Love to hear that from your mouth to God's ears. Guys, well, let's give a hand to Aaron. Congratulations. And Jake, awesome. Well, on the topic of XRP, and to close things out on a high note, we are going to be doing a raffle for some XRP, giving away some merch as well. Juan, do you mind throwing up this slide for the merch that we're also selling? If you guys like this XRP, buy XRP NFA shirt, it can be yours as well. Where is the bucket of tickets for the giveaway? Okay, thank you. Awesome. So, which is also really interesting, even the gentleman at Lynx Enterprise, who I met through the Cal State Fullerton community, that's where I went to school. We're also leveraging individuals and market participants who are keen on some of this technology. So even from the drop shipping, like Ripple last night, did you see how they had the embroidery or just the new ways of engaging and providing new experiences for market participants and us alike, everyday people. So where I'm getting at is we're thinking so much more beyond than just hosting this event. But how do we tie in new experiences? How do we tie in new market participants? So when you leave this event, what if you got an email that says, oh, now you get 20% off to the coffee shop right down the street? And another one 30 minutes later that says, oh, did you like the coffee? Maybe you want to buy the product, or here's another dinner offering. So there's just so many more ways to engage with market participants and everyday investors to build such amazing and integrated and tight-knit communities. All right, so to kick things off, before we close things down, this is the XRP giveaway is sponsored by Liquid Acre. Thank you guys so much for your involvement and participation and support. So let's call the first winner here. Here we go. Maybe 589. No, I'm just kidding. 26496 317. Ooh, 17 of them. Alrighty. So if you don't mind, congratulations. I'm going to link you up with the team over here at Liquid Acre so they can get your wallet information, your shoe size, D for all the above, and find you later. Alrighty, for winner number 2. 26496-342. All right. Clark shows up at the last minute and wins XRP. Come on, Clark. It was good to meet you last night at the XRP Community Day, sir. Absolutely. All righty. And for the third winner is 26496-311. Lucky number 11. All right, I'll read it again. 26496-311. All right, we're going to pull another one.
Drop to the 200.
That must be an Ethereum bag holder. 26496-315. Alrighty. Is it Clinton?
Did they mix them up?
Excellent. So link up with the team over here at Liquid Acre. Glad you showed up. Glad I met you today at the conference, sir. Thank you. You and Mark, Mark was using his Gemini XRP credit card to purchase some lunch, and I had to talk to him for a second. Say, hey, you like using that card? Anyways, we're gonna call 3 more winners. This is for some merch. We've got some custom sweatshirts and these tees we're giving away.
Hey Raymond, give me 1 second. So the bartenders are here for another 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
So last call, we'll come in.
Oh, we're doing last call right now? Okay.
Well, it's next 20 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we're gonna do these last 3 winners, and then we're gonna go drink. Excellent.
Yeah. they're all good with it.
Okay, cool.
We've only had 90 tickets actually.
Really? So then everybody should get an extra drink. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just
oh, wow.
His name is Ray Fuentes.
Alrighty. So for the large, let me grab the Okay. Excellent. So for a custom sweatshirt that was made specifically for this event, showcasing the sponsors and the XRP ledger, I'd love to hold it while I market it a little bit, because it's great. It showcases the community and so much effort and passion that goes into this. Juan, do you mind holding up the sweatshirt while you're coming up? This is made specifically again for the XRP meetup. So let's call out the winner here. Come a little closer. We're onto the stage, Juan. It's 26496-341. Again, and you can also scan this QR code and purchase one in your size as well if you like it that much. So again, it's 26496-341. No? Alrighty. You don't like that sweatshirt? No, just kidding. Okay. 26496-341. No? Okay. 26496-323. Oh, my man. Alrighty. Bring this over to you. This is going to fit perfect. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, and then for 2 shirts, let's do this right now. 26496-324. All right. How about -325? What's your number back there?
200s, please.
-326.
I know, they're in order.
Oh, some mixing it. They're all in the 300s. 316.
This is going to take a while.
Yeah.
229.
227.
295.
Well,
yeah. Oh, Dean. All right. Excellent. Throw this one your way, sir. Absolutely. And we've got one more to give away, and that is going to be no, that's the same ticket. Oh, here's a good one. 292.
Nope.
Nope.
Jeez Louise.
The one you're looking for is 334.
284. All righty. Excellent. Congratulations. Got a beautiful buy XRP, not financial advice shirt to your clients. There we go. Guys, thank you so much for joining us in this XRP meetup. We do these basically all the major conferences, try to bring the XRP community together and showcase just how amazing we all are. One thing before I let you go, I was asked this question at church about 2 weeks ago. Somebody knows what we're up to and asked me, you go, Ray, what do you want your legacy to be? And for me, I said, well, that's a loaded question, and I got to think about that. I responded in the short term with standard stuff. I want to leave a great life for my daughter, make an impression in the community, and be for all the above. But sitting on stage here and thinking about this even more is, which I recommend all of us ask ourselves what we want our legacy to be when we leave this room, as we talk about humanity, the future of the financial systems and abroad. is leveling the playing field, allowing all of us to participate in the same financial products that the elite play with, that the people in Africa as well should be able to participate. And so for me, I just believe that we have the opportunity to make a dent in the universe, not to take this from Ripple, but really to move and allow and democratize communities of practice that haven't been or had access or have been underserved since the inception of these financial products. So it would be great if all of us work together to level the playing field and create opportunity. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate you all came here. I love you mucho. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, when it's being live streamed right now. Yeah.
Yo, chat, that was amazing. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Follow me on all platforms at Oz the Crypto Goat, all lowercases, no spaces. We are live at the ETH Denver conference. This is the XRP Meetup Summit. Great time we're having here. We're gonna go have some drinks and then it's off to Meow Wolf. I'll be live streaming from Meow Wolf, ladies and gentlemen, and you're gonna have an opportunity to get a little inside exclusive look at what we're doing, and we're gonna continue making content and going forward. I appreciate all the gifts and the likes and everything. It was great, man. You guys are phenomenal. We love you. Hello, my name is Oz. Yeah, we got you. I'm here for you guys, here for you. So I'm actually gonna dip out. I'm gonna head straight to Meow Wolf because I'm gonna get there an hour early because it's supposed to be packed out. It's completely sold out. Excuse me.
Hey, good.
Excuse me.
So we're gonna definitely connect. Yeah, we're really interested in.
It's what a small room, right? It's so little. I have drink tickets, but I don't really drink.
It's okay.
So, do you have Red Bull?
We ran through both of our things. Oh, that's all right. Wait a moment.
Do you have Red Bull?
It's quick. Oh, we don't have any Red Bull out here.
Anything like that? No? No Red Bull. What do you got non-alcoholic?
I have an NA Pilsner and an IPA.
That's non-alcoholic? Yeah. Here, let me buy you a drink. I don't drink. Alright, I'm out. Chat. Time to go to Meow. I might drink tonight, but I gotta go drive over there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get saucy too, but I gotta party till 2 a.m. Can't be drinking now. It was the X.